UNESCO even has a, you know, yes, UNESCO have a legislation that says that all those sites should not be allowed to,
they should be sustained.
Should be sustained.
Mm.
So I believe the issue of ownership now does not really
it's like saying
arise.
Who owns the famous Kano wall? Or who owns the Rumfa house where the Emir of Kano is staying now? Who owns the building? Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
My reason of wanting to add a twist to this question is the fact that there's no settlement in the world where you don't tend to find somebody that is being said, this is the first person that settled here. Therefore, some claim of ownership is there. Let me put it bluntly. Do we have the settler native syndrome playing around that particular site? Because that's how it grows from the beginning. Someone was there, and of course, he laid claim and ownership of that particular place. It's extended to his family, keeps going down, keeps going down. That's the sort of question I'm asking.
Well, you know, because when the colonialists came, they had classified these aspects, and that made it easier for the Ministry of Lands, because they would not even allow it. Like, they would not allow anyone to claim the Kano wall, for example. And then the Rumfa house will be an official residence of the emir. After that, nobody can come and claim. If now the emirship jumps from the Bayeros to another family, the Bayeros cannot come and claim the house, Rumfa house. And I don't know if this answers your question, because you are looking like you are not.
Let me try
okay.
and
yes, Professor. Help me,
yes,
Professor.
Yes, please. You know, I was born in Kano. During our primary school days, we've had all the history about Dala Hills and all that. The real original on Dala, the real and so it is their homeland. Whether UNESCO has taken it or whether the state government so that is, I think that is when we are talking about the origin. After all, others there, the Hausa people were there when they came. The deity, the people that were living at the bottom of the hill, that's what happened. So that is my little contribution. And you know, we were even talking about how if you are going up, there was an elephant and all the stories. I don't want. The real Hausa people are the owners of the Dala Hills. Now the government is custodian of the Dala Hills. That is my understanding of the whole scenario. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor.
Actually, I'm going to say I stand to be corrected. Heritage, the life Kano. What in my mind immediately of hill is the history. Hausa people are Maguzawa. So, and this Maguzawa, when the religion at that time was idol worshiping. They had so many rituals. When we were kids, we understand there is something they call Bori, which is part of the rituals of the, okay, even till today. So the way I look at it is that when we were kids, I attended my primary school in Kano, Kofar Kudu Primary School. That's why I did my primary school. So when we were kids, we learned there were some group of organization, a group of organization that comes from Germany. They wanted to look at the Dala Hill and the Kano walls, the Asian wall, in order to preserve it and make it like a tourist attraction. But unfortunately, they were not, they didn't get the cooperation needed for them to do that by the state government, yes. So actually, when I saw heritage here, what came to my mind was, for that so many years, that Dala was left by the government to be wasted. There's only one answer that came to my mind. That is, it is deliberate. But the question is why? Why? Why is it deliberate? Why would the Kano State government allow the Dala Hill to go west? Have the answer. Good. So you see, that has been in my mind. I don't know why they left it. They don't want to take it up. They don't want to make it a very attractive tourist attraction. So I don't know. Maybe they have a reason. And you say you have the answer. Thank you very much.
You know, when you have a that it's now that people are beginning to think of history, conservation. People don't want to promote, okay, it's back. People don't want to promote what they feel that is in the negative as far as they are concerned. It's now that we're seeing that sites are tourist sites. They can even bring revenue to the state. So I think the awareness is changing now. That is why the government is even the custodian of what Dala is. And if you go through history, let me add something a little. If you go through the history of the Hausas, those who migrated out of that place, some settled in. Do you know that there's a replica hilltop where they see, because they are settled where there's a hill. And part of those that are in Egypt, you can go to YouTube and get this information. Also, we're trying to replicate the hills, the Dala that they had from Kano, from all those places. And if you look at, there was somebody in America, a houseman in America that has find out how the entrance of the pyramid of Dala, because the history has been passed on. So wherever they settle, they are always looking for their Dalas. So that is, and most of them moved out because Islamic, they felt they were going to be adulterated, so they were moving out of that. But most of with Islam. So I think that's a little contribution that I want to make. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. You see, Hausa people are classified into two. There are the Kados and the Habis. So these are the ones that are that have the Fulani blood, and they are the ones that migrated into Hausa land. That is the Sumandanfodio people, and then they came with the religion, and then the Arabs too, during the trans-Saharan trade, came with the religion, and then they met the indigenous Hausa people. You can see them, they are darker in color, they have broader nose, they are huger body-wise, they are not, while the Habis are slimmer, and they are fairer in color, and they have more pointed nose and longer hair, and so on and so forth. So they dominated the land, and they made the religion to be primary, like primordial. Whatever, everything was around the religion. Even the culture was changed. Like she mentioned, they changed the culture quickly. And we now know that the quickest way to grab people, especially black people, Africans, is to introduce religion. come with religion and come with a huge force. There are still a lot of people that will not allow themselves to be indoctrinated into these values, like she mentioned. And some of them left because socially they could not fit in. So they had to migrate and leave the place. That is why we cannot lay claim, or nobody will now come and claim the hill. The original owners of the hill were forced out because they could not fit in. They could not fit in. So you can see the leadership or the emirship, whatever, it's always coming from the Usman Danfodio trait. All the emirs know where they connect back to Usman Danfodio, all the emirs in northern Nigeria. So it's a long story or history, which I thought as an architect we should restrict ourselves to Dala Hill and conserving the hill and making it, if we can make it a UNESCO site, especially the Kano wall itself. The two of them were linked together, actually three of them with the Rumfa house. So the three were seen that if they could be improved, they could become UNESCO sites. Thank you so much, Professor. And I would like to say that Kano people are very, very conservative. So for me to be, what would I say, to be a political appointee, there are so many things that I should be very careful. You know what I'm saying? Before you know it, I may lose my seat. Maybe before I reach Kano, they will just appoint a new DG. You know, that can happen. So I have to, that is why I restricted the study to what was written on the slides. Because we went to site for 2 or 3 years. It was a long study, but I was very consistent with what was on the site so that I will keep my seat. Thank you so much. Yes, anybody that has question? Yes, at least let me not be embarrassed. There are so many things that I should not be the one to say. If you call me and you will talk. Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, do you have a question? Yes, that is where, yes.
And the site that has been ignored for years. And thank God you are in power now. I think there's something you can do. Some persons are not concerned about this, but it's a concern to you. So long as it's a concern to you, then you are in a position to effect the change, so that it will be given the relevance and be cleared to be used as a tourist space. And you may not, you have the system, how to go about it, how that place can be revived and be put to good use.
So thank you. I take that as an advice. Yes? Okay. Actually, we are trying to do that. The person in charge of the Dala Hill was my student too. He read architecture, and but he would not want to do more than what is happening. Maybe we can clean the place and then continue to receive tourists. The way I have mentioned earlier that we are coming from a very conservative place. So you have to be very careful how you use your knowledge. In fact, if you cannot use your knowledge around your sociology, then there is problem with your knowledge. It will not be from ABU Zaria. I don't know if I'm making sense. Honestly, we do our best. But to take people around the hill is not going to be able. That is why we keep saying that government policies. Like if I'm in charge of urbanization and cleanliness or landscaping, I know that I need the Commissioner for Lands to clear the people around the hill, and I know that it's going to be very hard. There are so many ministries that are converging on the Hill. It's not just one office. I don't know if there are so many ministries around the Hill. Yes, somebody?
About how are you crafting allow these things to mean something to the people, because this heritage people around. So how are you making well-crafted narratives?
How do we achieve?
Yes, how are you creating well-crafted narratives that gives this project such that it means and it can continue even when you're not there. People still carry on that project because it means something. And now, how do you now also circumvent the ideas of religion and what people already perceive as, because you spoke about a deity, and certain people will hold that in negative connotations. So how are you going around that?
See, what we are doing, you know, there are direct methods and there are indirect methods. And then sometimes you solve problem by putting so much pressure. Sometimes you solve problems by just talking about it. You understand? I am fortunate to be one of the people that were bringing change around HIV/AIDS. I know what I faced. It's not easy for me to stand on a podium and talk since the experience, because I went to a conference and we were learning on how to prevent the spread of HIV/AIDS. You could say what I said in Lagos or Ibadan or Jos or wherever, but you cannot say those things in Kano. Even when I said those things in Lagos, those things followed me to Kano and they taught me hell. So what I'm trying to say is that the more we talk about it at conferences like this, like I said earlier, you notice that I was being very careful. I'm just making, like I'm giving the preamble that there is a problem and that problem needs solution. And then these are the solutions as researchers. We have found how to go about that. The little we can do, we have done. And we are interested. So if we see a body, like I mentioned, that we can have public, private. If somebody from Plateau State now comes up, do you know that he will make more headway on Dala Hill than probably for somebody like me that is coming from Kano State? Do you understand? If somebody now from Plateau that is interested, that has an NGO on preservation of monuments, comes to Kano and then comes to my office, it will be easier for me to now I will just keep quiet and wait as the person explains to the governor, for example. And I might get lucky, the governor will accept and he will call commissioner out. All these things are centered around the governor because he has to liaise with the commissioner. You have to liaise with the commissioner for lands, liaise with other agencies to make sure, and the emirs too. There are custodians like historians that are responsible for this. So the more we talk about it as softly as we can, in Plateau states, in Jos, so at least we are making progress. I believe we are making progress. Yes, we have planted. Thank you so much, Professor. Professor, I don't know if I have answered your question. We have to be very careful how we take issues because there are issues around religion. And it is very easy to take 5 minutes for somebody to make a comment and that will just be the end. You understand what I'm saying? So I think we have beaten, yes. We have overflogged them.
What we have done here is purely academic exercise. So let's leave it at that. Thank you.
Let us leave. I'm very grateful. Thank you, Professor. I'm grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma. Dr. Amina, all the way from Kano State. Well done, Ma. Let's appreciate her more. So I'll call on Architect Priscilla. Okay, Mrs. Priscilla, to come and make her own presentation.
Good afternoon, Prof. Good afternoon, everyone. Standing on existing protocol. I'm not an architect. I'm a journalist or a friend to the Architects Resourcery. Thank you for having me here. My name is Priscilla Okwanachi. And it's a summary I'm supposed to do about the relationship between media and architecture. Nobody lives alone. The synergy. Our first speaker spoke about interdisciplinary relationship. So what you're saying here, some part of it needs to be communicated to the larger world, and some needs to be kept. One of the things that is striking in this meeting is sustainability. Sustainability and the future. Reimagine architecture for sustainable future. But we cannot talk of the future without history. Like what Hajar was trying to say about the history, Architect Hassan talks about history. Our sense of history is actually very poor. We go to see other people's places, and we don't value ours. There is an awakening. There's a clarion call for us to be able to value our past, to value our history, then to now fine-tune what the future will look like. If not, we will be lost. And one of the things we have as our responsibility is to be able to know this, either being taught or researching it ourselves, so that we can find a pathway to improve on what has always been there and to sustain it. The issue with sustainability, climate change, and everything is still, it boils down on us knowing what was it in the past. Prof was talking about the building, the traditional architecture. And when we came and we just discarded everything. But there are things that was actually meant for our own climb, but we felt we need to bring in new things. There's a marriage between the new and the old to help us get a hybrid and move forward to get to where we're going to. So one of the issues that was presented earlier was the issue of, what is her name? There's the team, the first team that presented earlier talked about building sustainability and how sometimes we just go into building places when some places are overcrowded, no planning, and we have slums and all those things. The place of the lands and survey, the other people in the building to go ahead to talk with them, the relevant authorities, to ensure that there is a blueprint so that we can have an organized place and put the greening of our environment into consideration. Because if you're looking at sustainability, there's a lot of deforestation, a lot of havoc being done to our environment in the cost of our construction, be it buildings or roads or other constructions. But there is need for us to know that we need the environment, we need the green environment, we need trees, we need for our health, like one of the presenters spoke about. So these are things that we will have to synergize with the builders to know that the authorities in charge should do the needful so that when it comes to developing these places, there's a conducive environment so that we can have there's some form of consistency and the awareness that we're not just building our houses, but we're building, and the environment also should be healthy for us. We should have enough trees around and all those. And Joy Otopa was telling us how, like Prof. Nan came and summarized it with the bricks from PET bottles. So these are all encompassing. It's not one man to do it. We need to join hands and ensure that we have a healthy environment, a built environment where we can be, where you sit and have fresh air and enjoy your existence. Thank you so much for having me. And I want to really commend our people that did their first presentation about the built-up environment, the pollution, harvesting the PET bottles and the plastic to make the place. You guys did a very good job, and I know that you can do better than that. And I've actually learned a lot being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Priscilla. I would like to welcome our daddy, architect Pam Board from the physical facilities. I had that in mind, but it escaped my memory. You're welcome, sir. So we'll have the next presentation. So this will be a practical presentation of what our grandfather, Professor Zanzanuji, did. So we can all see it and have a better understanding.
Good day all. My name is Mustafa Aminu. I'm from Katsina State. I'm going to join you in the international curriculum. And I wish to on the existing protocol. So my topic is transforming plastic waste into papers. So the main objective of this illustration is that we need to have some set of materials. What are the materials needed? First, you have to have your safety. That is the protective equipment. As you can see, he's well dressed with what? With pair of glasses, nose masks, an overall, hand gloves, and safety boots. If you wish, you can add with what? Helmet, a helmet. So the materials needed is you need sand, fine sand. Then you need color pigment amongst the material needed. This is color pigment. If you want to color, Then you need your gas. That is fuel for heating. Among the equipment needed is set of sieve. You need a brush, a mallet, set of trowel, molds, metal plate or a table, a flat surface. You need stirring stick or wood. Then a pot or a barrel. This is an artisanal method of producing plastic papers. If you want to upgrade, there are a set of equipment needed like the extruder, the shredder, and the like. So the main objective here, we want to produce plastic paper, as I've said. We have different type of materials. In my slide, you will see some chasing arrows. It was introduced in the 1980s by the United States plastic resin. Please, you can go to the slide where there is chasing arrows. Okay, this is the slide. As you can see, there are chasing arrows. These are called chasing arrows. There are chasing arrows up to 8 in number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Number 1 is what? PETE. 2 is HDPE. So, and 3 is V. 4 is LPDE. All of these chasing arrows with numbers have respective meaning. Now, in our illustration, we need the first three. That is the low density polythene and the high density polythene and the PET. Like the prof have said it before, you need the PET. This is a typical example of a PET. And as well, this is example of a PET. But there are some that are of a high density, but you will not be able to differentiate them, like the fearless bottle. Some of them are of a high density. So you can even check of the bottle. You can see, you can check the kind of material you are trying to suit when you are trying to start your operation. And you can see this one is labeled 2. That is HDPE, the high density polythene. So if you want to execute the process accurately, use the low density polythene. The low density. The low density amongst include your normal polythene, the one that has the density, like the sachet pure water polythene. As you stretch it like this, you feel it has density. If you use this only, you have something like this. And this one, it doesn't have a high density. Now, if I drop it like this, it might break because it doesn't have what? Density. Let me try it for you to see. You see? It breaks. It's purely made of this. I'm giving you the secret. I want you to learn. You might watch different videos online, but you will not get it. They will not show you the mixture. This is an educational event I have to share with you for you to learn. As you can see this one, this is a mixture of 2 types of polythene. The high density and the PET. A high density and the PET. So this one will have the density that we do like. Let me make an illustration to see whether it will break or it will not break, to compare the strength. You can see? Wonderful. So, in our own illustration, we are going to use these cups as part of the high density. It will require about 2 hours for it to melt. We require about 240 above minimum for it to melt. So now, the proportion, let me give you the proportion. You can use 2:1, that is 2 parts of sand and 1 part of plastic. But note, as you remember, I have said you have to use 2 types of the plastic. That is the high density and the low density, for it to have the density to give it the strength. So now we are going to weigh, that is 0.5 kilogram of the high density and 0.7 of the PET. Then we will weigh 2.7 to 3 kilogram of the sand. On the process we are trying to do is that you on your fuel or gas or burning material, then you put your fire, you can leave it on fire, then you go and weigh your sand, you weigh your bottles, you separate them together separately. Then if the sand requires sieving, then you sieve it to remove the unwanted materials. As it gets hot, then you pour in your plastic. Then you give it time to melt. After it melts to a stage whereby you can stir it, then you stir it thoroughly, then you bring the sand into the pot. If you bring it, then you stir homogeneously without lumps. Then you try and use your trowel. Then you pour into the molds. But for you to have accurate molding, you need this brush when setting your material to what? To lubricate the sides of the mold for easy removal. So after that, when you pour, you need this very trowel. This trowel will help you in what? In compressing and having a good vibration for it to compact well. If you didn't have accurate compaction, you will have honeycombs like this. So you press it well so that it will assume shape. Then you leave it to 1 to 2 hours. It will get set. After it gets set, then you use your mallet. Then you. That's the process. So now we will go out. We will start our fire like I have told you. But let me just show you a simple illustration of how we will weigh the materials. Here is my digital weighing scale. I will use it for measuring, weighing the sand. This is 1.7 kilogram. I have to reduce it. I said I have to reduce it. I have to add for it to be up to 2.5. 2.5 up to 3 kg. That is 3 part of the sand needed. $3.1. 2.885. This one is okay. It's desirable. This is 0.2 kilogram. For these illustration purposes, we are going to use this 0.2 because it will require long time for it to melt. And let me give you the size of this mold. This mold is 100 mm by 200 mm. That is the size. While the depth is 35.00 mm, more than an inch. So it will be between 1 inch to 2 inch. That is 25.4 to like 40 mm. I will share the slides to you so that you see more on that. So now we will go out and set everything as I have told you. When it's time for casting, then we will come here in so that we cast in front of you so that you see how we are casting it. Thank you. If you want to ask question, I'm ready for the question, please. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Hello?
Thank you for the demonstration will be outside. You can go and see how it is done.
Hello? We'll be taking a 10 minutes break so that we'll see the demonstration outside. And afterwards, we'll continue with the students' plenary.
akwai abin da mashin ne da kan shi yake da zafi da komai sai ya fe ya sa shi a cikin mold zai ɗauki shi da komai da suke da yana da tsada.
You should see you know the inside.
Yanzu wannan akan tsada akwai inda ke da irin shredding machine zai fito da shi pieces naka a ba na wani mutane da dama sun zo suna da shi so in kana so kawai kana iya musu kana ma zuwa ka sai agromet kawai ka sai wanda yake shredded already amma ana zo na yi last week na zo nan tahir soju kenan na ya follow training mun yi abu ne na UNICEF haka muka yi a nan
gaskiya da mun sani ba da ya yi presentation nashi before now so that one will be cooking yana
kowa na so ya exactly shi sanya na tunda nan wuri ne da gathering ne na knowledge za ka ta yin try kaga wani yayi amma a ba za su baka akwai wata yan kurfi ko tana yin na leda about closing time, you go back into the hall, we start in front of you for you to see. Yeah, everything.
Hold on, boss. Hold on, sir.
Yeah, it will take about 2 hours, around 4.
I'm beyond you. Hold on. Fine, sir. Our questions, right?
Okay.
But, okay, so our questions are, Is this still just a prototype, or it has been scaled into like real structure somewhere?
I will tell you, this is 3 times harder than the conventional concrete. As tested.
Concrete.
Yes.
Concrete like with
3 times harder than the traditional concrete, 3 times harder.
Interesting. But are people like adopting it so you can actually alter?
Yeah, you can give it coloration.
You want it. Yes.
Yeah, you can give it coloration. And when you are proportioning, make sure you add that of the low density. That low density.
There's something it adds.
Yeah. And this innovation brings about how we can curb waste pollution in our own environment. This polythene is choking coastal and river waterways.
Sure.
So, and it will help life in water, life on land.
So, okay, this is artisanal, right?
This is artisanal method.
Is there like, let's say, cottage industry style?
They want to produce like,
let's say 10,000 bricks?
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. When I'm coming back, I will just go overview of the slide. The main knowledge is this, but after I will take you through my slides for you to see the key areas and the overview, the production overview on how to make it. Yeah. Because even if you get these materials, you need to sort them. After sorting, there are times you need to wash them. Because of the dust. There are times you need to what? Again, you need to sort them out. After sorting them out, you need to shred them. You need to cut them into pieces. After cutting them into pieces, then you set up into the process. Yes, because they extrude that directly. They extrude that way, melt it and give it. They attach to the mold. It will just extrude it into the mold directly. There are a lot of videos online.
It's 3 times more.
This one is 3 times hard, durable than the conventional
concrete block.
No, if you say you are going to melt it, it's time already. It has now changed from pure plastic to into what? Another material composed of what? Sand and plastic. And let me tell you one thing again. This if you use your desert thermometer to check the surface temperature, you find out that it has less temperature than the conventional concrete. So you are reducing the land surface temperature. Do you have any questions? So, under normal circumstances, this is an infant area. With further research, you can research on how even exposure to chemicals, and even you can make bricks like the Zenlog brick, where you can see on how you can reduce